But he has been he assumed the role of president and CEO of Visit Baton Rouge in August of 2002. And he will be leaving his role as president and CEO of Visit Baton Rouge in September of 2022, which is exactly 20 years. And so he has about 46 years of tourism experience that he's been able to put to wonderful use. And he's been a member of numerous tourism organizations. He graduated from LSU in New Orleans, and he's received the highest award given to anyone in the tourism industry, the Certified Destination Marketing Executive Award. He got that in 1999, and in 2000 he was awarded the Sales and Marketing Executive Marketer of the Year Award. So he's a stellar guy. He's done a lot for Baton Rouge, and we're glad to have him and we wish him well. So without further ado, Paul Arrigo.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think this might be the second or third time I've addressed this group. It's always been fun and interesting, always something new and different and somewhat exciting. And yes, it was Henry Kissinger who said, yes, but it would be nice. When, for those of you who don't know who Henry Kissinger is, Google it. Thank you very much, Bill, and again, it's a pleasure. And the accolades you gave me is due to one thing, a great product to sell with a great staff, 100% behind me. You didn't mention, Bill, something that I'm really proud of is that the American Italian Cultural Society bestowed upon me the Joseph I. Giarrusso Award for Civic Achievement 2 years ago, pre-COVID, and that was really kind of cool. You could tell by my accent and my attitude, I am from New Orleans, but the city is not the same since I left. Somebody's ringing, and that's not me. I left my phone over there. Visit Baton Rouge, established 50 years ago, this year, 50 years ago, by legislative act. We are a political subdivision of the state. I think 50 years ago we were called Baton Rouge Area Convention, Baton Rouge Area Tourist and Convention Commission. Then we were Baton Rouge Area Convention Visit Bureau. By legislative act about 10 years ago, we changed to Visit Baton Rouge, which is pretty much the norm for destination marketing organizations. And destination marketing organizations are evolving even more so now into destination marketing and management organizations, and this is some 400 some odd in the United States, and that seems to be getting more involved in product development and issues within the community that drive and deter tourism. We are a political subdivision of the state. We're not part of city government. We're not part of DDD, not part of Razor Cane's River Center, nor are we part of the Chamber of Commerce. However, we work very closely with those organizations, and we'll do more so now as a result of a strategic plan that we just completed. Our total funding comes from, most of our funding comes from a hotel motel tax, which you all are aware of, which affects about 93, 95% of the out-of-town people. Of course, there are certain tax-exempt organizations, what have you. But for the most part, we are funded by somebody else's money. Just like you pay a tax on a hotel when you go somewhere else, so does that individual pay on a tax here when they come to Baton Rouge. 2018 and 2019 were banner years for us. We were going into 2020 really riding high. On March 7th, we had March 7th and 8th, 2020, we had the Travel South convention in Baton Rouge. That were travel writers, tour operators, people who sold the South. It was a great opportunity for Baton Rouge. I want you to remember those dates, March, I think 7 and 9, 2020. 3 or 4 days later, the world came to an end as far as we were concerned. 2021 started out as a great year. about half of the revenue that we originally expected came through at the end of 2021 due to COVID. With COVID, we shifted into a total different mode from selling and pursuing visitors and conferences and events and conventions to rebooking conventions, postponing conventions a year or two down the line, working on reallocating our budget, working on PPP and everything else that everyone else was working on during that time. Post-COVID, conferences are a little bit lower in attendance than we expected. A little bit of a tendency to be concerned about crowds and access to the city, but not quite. I mean, it's a little bit less than we expected, but certainly it's coming back. That's being a group travel as far as conferences, conventions. Leisure is off the chart. Leisure travel, that person who travels for their own interest, whether it's traveling between Texas and Florida, Florida and Texas, stopping off here, but it's really doing very, very well, particularly on Sunday night. And any time in a market like Baton Rouge that you do well on a Sunday night, you know it's leisure travel. Group leisure, international is not there. International is going to take a while to come back, but we expect that it will. Let me just give you a quick little rundown of what we do. Our offices are on 3rd and Laurel. We have an administrative department, which includes myself, the controller, vice president of administration, and projects department, projects and events. Projects and events does special work on events like our 50th anniversary coming up that we will hold in May at the old state capitol where we originally were housed 50 years ago. Projects and events also working on a concert that we've got coming at the end of this month. A gentleman by the name of Garth Brooks coming to Baton Rouge. And also working on Tourism Day and events associated with Tourism Day and any special event that we might engage in. Our marketing department works on advertising research, our CRM, social media, and content, and pretty much guides the direction that we're doing now, particularly in research. We just subscribed to a service called Arrivalist, which basically tracks a phone of someone who is 18 years old or older, where they're coming from, where they're going, how much time they're spending in different locations. So we'll be able to tell when these reports come in how many people visited a certain museum and where they came from, whether it's Houston market, Texas market, Atlanta, Memphis, whatever. So we're going to be able to track that down. It's all new to me, but it's basically, the research is basically telling us what we sort of thought to begin with. So we're excited about the research that we're involved with, particularly when it comes to events, Bill, like Blues Fest, which is exciting, and we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, going back, pre-COVID, we're all excited. Boom, we just had Travel South. COVID comes, we're busy rescheduling conferences, talking to the tour operators, letting them know our interest in having them consider Baton Rouge down the future. And of course, post-COVID, things are very, very good. Very good in Baton Rouge, very good through most of the state. New Orleans is not quite as successful as we are, but the state's doing very well as a whole, and I think Baton Rouge may be leading the way as far as demand for hotels, et cetera. What we have done and have postponed, because this was supposed to happen in 2020, we postponed it to later in 2020 and then into 2021. Now it's postponed, but we just finished an exercise that some of you might have participated in. It was a survey called Destination Next. It was sanctioned by Destinations International, the Association of Convention and Visitors Bureau throughout the world. And it was a 80-question survey that we originally sent. We were going to send to 3,000 stakeholders, tour operators, convention planners, event planners, leaders of associations, leaders of organizations, stakeholders throughout the city. Of the 3,000 that we were going to send, 2,000 and change did not opt out, and of the 2,000 and change that did opt out, over 240 some odd completed the survey, which for an 80-question questionnaire that, if you did it right, would take about 15 to 20 minutes, was pretty good. Destination Next is what we needed to do to continue pursuing our accreditation. We were the second destination marketing organization in Louisiana to be accredited, and our reaccreditation is coming up toward the end of the year. I, as Bill mentioned to you, hold certification, Certified Destination Marketing Executive. I think I'm one of the oldest ones around, holding it back since 1999. So, Destination Next, and I'm going to tell you what, in a nutshell, what it said. But it was about 80 questions dealing with the alignment of the community and the strengths and weaknesses. It wasn't about us, it wasn't about the city, it wasn't about you, it was about Baton Rouge as a visitor destination. And that Destination Next survey will lead into our strategic plan that will be accepted by my board or approved by my board toward the end of this month. Also coming up, which we participate in and will provide resources for, is the Raising Cane's River Center study. Raising Cane's River Center originally was built in 1976. Of course, the exhibit hall was built in, I think, 2024 or 2025 for the Bowling Congress. They just redid the theater, and it's beautiful, but what we need to do is see what needs to be done with the Raising Cane's River Center in regard to expansion, renovation. What about the arena? How can the arena better market itself to not only local events, but out-of-town events? And with the Raising Cane's River Center, we also want to take a look at the campus of the Raising Cane's River Center. We lost the Bell Hotel. The hotel closed. We think it's going to reopen. We've had contact with the owners. They're talking about reopening. We don't know when. It will be a smaller product, but when we lost that, that really became an issue for us because we lost the closest hotel to the Raising Cane's River Center. As you probably read last week, the Holiday Inn on North Boulevard is renovating, shutting down, coming back as a new product. I don't know how long that's going to take, but certainly losing a couple hundred hotel rooms when you've got about 1,000 or so downtown was significant. And when you look at downtown Baton Rouge and you just compare it to two hotels in Lake Charles. Two hotels in Lake Charles, no further from where we are to the grocery, Rouse's, have more hotels, twice as many hotel rooms, almost, more restaurants, more retail than we have in all of downtown. So that's my competition. Not only is Lake Charles my competition, but so is Jackson, Mobile, Shreveport, Alexandria, New Orleans, North Shore, Houma, Paragon for conferences and conventions. For the individual traveler, we coordinate different trips with these communities. So it's very, very competitive. Going back to the River Center, when it comes to bringing conferences and conventions to the River Center, many large groups go to the Crown Plaza because they've got the big exhibit space. Those that go to River Center, we're working around LSU's schedule, which does not come out until maybe a year prior to, or a little bit more than a year. So it's difficult to determine what dates are available because hotels are very, very interested in pursuing those hotel rooms for major events like LSU football games, et cetera. Also working around Mardi Gras events. So the window of opportunities for conferences and conventions in the River Center is somewhat limited. But we think that as we get more rooms downtown, that's gonna increase. I can tell you at the end of April, we've got some 1,000 people coming in for a Gulf of Mexico Alliance. In June, we've got the United Methodist Church Conference, about 900 people. They have not met in Baton Rouge in many years. They've been up in Shreveport. We convinced them to come to Baton Rouge. And we've got a cool event there, the Slammed and Cammed Car Show, which is bringing in out-of-town visitors. And we're working with the Razor Cane's River Center in conjunction with that to bring in a concert that'll even draw more out-of-town visitors. And of course, every year we're fortunate to have the Marucci World Series in the summer, which brings in 600 high school youth and families in July. So that's three pretty big events that we've got coming up that we're pretty proud of as far as conferences and sporting events. I can tell you COVID told us that the outdoor events and even indoor events, sporting events, would continue, and we've done very, very well. Probably the number one, other than the individual leisure traveler, reason why people are coming here to participate, particularly these youth athletic events. Okay. Couple of things that we're concerned about. First of all, let me tell you the good news. Good news, this weekend after Easter, the weekend after Easter, that would be the 23rd and the 24th. Originating in 1981, the Baton Rouge Blues Festival will come back, and I can tell you the festivals are doing very, very well, particularly those festivals that are held downtown. When you've got weddings and other events going on downtown during the same time, it not only does it enhance the experience of someone who is in town, but it draws people from out of town. So we've got the Blues Fest. Let me encourage you to support the Blues Fest, April 23, 24. Unless we support these events, we're going to have a hard time bringing them back. The following Saturday, in front of 104 or 105,000 people, calling Baton Rouge, Garth Brooks. It has been years that we have been working on trying to work something to bring Garth Brooks to Baton Rouge. We tried to do it during Bayou Country Superfest. It didn't work. He was supposed to come a couple years ago. We had COVID, then it backed it up. We had COVID. Now we're bringing him in with LSU in April 29, Saturday, April 29, or is it April 30th? Thank you. The 5th Annual Soul Food Festival, May 14, 15, Riverfront Plaza. So that's another event that we've got coming in. And of course, live after 5 every Friday, with the exception of this Friday, Good Friday, for the next several weeks. And that brings in several thousand people, not only people who are in town for events, but brings people in from out of town, and certainly for the locals too to enjoy. Sunday in the Park, every Sunday, except this Sunday due to Easter, which is a great event down there. And then we've got the Improv Festival coming in April 20 to April 24. That's what's going on. Now, let me tell you the challenges we have, and then talk about anything y'all want. Workforce. We have higher demand now, more occupancy in hotels, more people coming to town than we have ever had. That's as a result of people having time and money. No one's in a hurry to get home. They're working remote. They've got time and money, and unfortunately, the workforce, particularly service personnel in the hotels, et cetera, we're having a difficult time. As a result, you'll see general managers acting as cooks, chefs, bellmen, housekeepers, et cetera. Now, what concerns us even more about the workforce is in the future, as traffic increases and as the price of gas goes up and child care, it's going to be difficult to find unskilled, semi-skilled workers for service personnel. Who's going to want to pay $5 a gallon, commute for an hour, child care for entry level or a unskilled labor position? So we've got to work on that. We've got to figure out a way to, and for those of you who saw, there was a story on one of the TV stations about the traffic in Baton Rouge and the fact that it's going to get worse in 2025 with the widening of the interstate. And how do we get travelers to get waves so they can find out the alternate routes around? How do we inform the travelers coming through, to, and in Baton Rouge how to get around? How do we get our workforce to where they need to be? So we're going to be working, as soon as my strategic plan is approved, as part of my strategic plan, we'll be working with agencies like the Chamber and City Hall and the Louisiana Department of Transportation to determine ways that we can better move people in this community. It's a challenge and it's tough. Couple other things. Just give you some ideas here, which came out of the 80-question survey, which was 71 pages, the final document. This is statement scores. This is what the survey participants said. Out of 5, DMO, that's us, we play a critical role in long-term economic development. So 4.3 out of 5 people recognize that we play a role in economic development and that we measure and track our tourism industry performance. So we're doing that measurement that we need to do as an organization, not as a city. We have support from industry leaders and stakeholders, and that we have a good relationship with economic development agencies, which I think we do. And this, as a community, we're hospitality-minded. We have a hospitality-minded culture, which I think is something we're all proud of. Here's our challenges. Public transportation for workers. Affordable daycare options for workers. Adequate affordable housing for workers. Adequate workforce for frontline hospitality jobs, and adequate training programs. That's where we need to do some things. And we're going to be working with some agencies to hopefully eliminate those issues. As a destination, Baton Rouge, we did high for venue, for hosting major sporting events. So between what Breck has, Tiger Stadium, Southern, we have strength in that area. We have a unique and high quality dining options, which everybody knew that. And we have established brand names hotels. We've got just about every brand here in this city. And our facilities and venues host amateur sporting events are very good. Where we were low, safe from crime, roads can easily handle traffic, adequate public transportation, known as a walkable destination, and limited issues with homelessness. And this is every city right now. Every CVB is hearing this. Every destination marketing organization is hearing about crime, litter, homelessness, traffic, walkability. A couple things surprised me. Those didn't surprise me. Some things that did surprise me is that we also were low when it came to destination access. Again, that's traffic. Low with attractions and experiences. Not terribly low, 3.38 out of 5 compared to 3.6 to average. And also low in outdoor recreation opportunities. So we've got to do a better job of promoting the fact that we do have bike trails, that we've got kayak, that we've got the running trails and the walking trails. But that, more than any other activity, is growing unbelievable right now. Outdoor activity, whether it's generational or people with the COVID or whatever reason that people want to do activities outside. Some of the other things that we're high with sporting events, obviously low with mobility and access, and high with conventions. As a convention destination, we've done well, but that's always been our focus in the past, on pursuing conferences and conventions. Our organizational governance was high, our business support, government support, regional cooperation that we engage in was high. Of course, low workforce development. Funding support and certainty. Our funding is fine right now. We're doing very well. The certainty is always a challenge as far as the sustainability of it. Community group and resident support is a little low, and emergency preparedness is low. We're known for our venues for hosting major sporting events, dining, we mentioned at brand hotels. But the big thing seems to be, at the end of the day, after you crush all 71 pages and look at the way things are, and keep in mind that these averages compare to averages throughout, technically, the world, but our survey was done post-COVID, so a lot of things are on different people's minds right now that may not have been when surveys were done in other cities pre-COVID. Workforce development is a challenge, and it's something we need to work on. Litter, crime, homelessness is a challenge. It's something we need to work together on. The product associated with the River Center, we need to look at the additional hotel, or at least the reopening of those 2 hotels. Accessibility, traffic, not only getting to Baton Rouge, but getting through Baton Rouge and around Baton Rouge once everyone's here, as a conference or a visitor, what have you. So we know what we need to do, and we're going to be working with agencies, particularly the Chamber and the city and Louisiana Department of Transportation, in trying to eliminate or alleviate as much of these challenges that we have. With that, I will be very happy to hopefully answer any questions that you may have. Yes, sir.
Can you talk a little bit more about, excuse me, the study regarding the River Center, kind of who commissioned it, what the goals are?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we are writing the RFP right now.
Okay.
We, as Visit Baton Rouge, are going to pay for it. We are looking at what needs to be done in the River Center, that whole campus, to better market it, not only locally, but to visitors. Does it need to be renovated, repaired, or remodeled? Does it need to be enlarged? How does it compare with other similar cities and as a product? And we're looking at everything: accessibility, parking, the whole campus. So we're writing that RFP right now, and that should go out within the next several weeks once it's done. There is a River Center committee that is put together by the mayor's office, and we're meeting tomorrow, and we'll probably look at that RFP and look at what needs to be done in that. But it's something we recognize because the building, the new port, is 20 years old. And we're going to have the bowlers coming back in 2025 too, United States Bowling Congress, and all the other stuff we have going in there. Anything else, sir? Yeah. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about like what working with the city, DDD, the chamber? What sort of things are you all looking at working together about? I guess one of the things would be workforce.
Yeah, workforce, we know the Chamber's working on that right now, and we know that they've got a grant to do that. We need to tie in the hospitality industry as part of that, because when you look at the whole workforce, you're looking at industry, factories, retail, everything. We need to tie in with them, and we've had some preliminary conversations with them, and we're all in agreement that that's something we have to do, and we know that we're all going to benefit from the workforce development, training, just getting people to recognize that the hospitality industry is a good place to make a living and to move up if you're so able to. So we're working with the chamber in that regard. I just found out that the city has an initiative in regard to the litter and the appearance of the city. I didn't get that total information yet, but I know that the chamber does too, and would like to work together. There's no use for having three silos working separately. Rather, if we can all work together and have some quantifiable results, I think that's something we'd like to do. Speaking of, and I'll get to you one second, ma'am. Destination marketing organizations as we evolve to destination management organizations. Throughout the years, and in the 40 some odd years that I've been in this business, we as organizations worked in silos. This is what we have to sell. This is what we sell, the destination. But now we've got to get more involved in the improving of the destination, be it product development, safety, anything associated with a visitor coming here. We just can't take what what's there to sell. We have to build the product. We have to work with other agencies. We have to understand that together we can do a better job, and destination marketing organizations in the past have not done that. Yes, ma'am.
Two things.
Uh-oh. I got to get up here.
Can you tell me again, how many people did the survey when it came to destination? The destination survey. And my second question is I know there have been, a lot of people leave Baton Rouge and go to New Orleans when it comes to traveling and when it comes to like the airports and things like that. So can you touch upon that and if there's anything to address?
Thank you. Okay, of the 2,000 surveys, and this is a standard survey that is done by Destination Next. It's not our questions, it's their questions. Of the 2,000 and change that went out, I think 241 came back. It was a long survey. But we got more results than any other attempt by any other city or destination. So it was fairly accurate as far as the, when you look at the universe and the actual numbers. Do I wish we'd have had more? But it was a long survey, and it's what it is. The loss of business to New Orleans, from a convention point of view, there are some conventions that meet in New Orleans that we don't get. There's a lot of visitation that includes New Orleans and Baton Rouge, or Baton Rouge and New Orleans. The international travelers, when it comes back, often include Atlanta, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Natchez, Lafayette. The internationals take holiday for 2 weeks. And Memphis, so we do work with New Orleans in that regard. Right now, as a visitor destination, snapshot, we're outperforming New Orleans as far as occupancy in the hotels and what have you. Their rates are still high. Our rates are increasing. There's a publication, BNT, Business Travel Network, that last year I think we were 6th most affordable destination as far as hotel, food, rent a car. Okay, we were like 6th, cheap. I think we're 59 now. Hotel rates have increased considerably in Baton Rouge, and we were so low for so long, and the hotels love it. Yes, ma'am.
How does the airport kind of play?
Oh, airport, okay. I fly as much as anyone else here. I think the airport does an outstanding job. I think it's clean. I think it's easy, it's quick. You know, you can get from your car into the plane. I wish there were more flights, but everybody cut back on flights now. I wish there were more destinations, but it is what we have to work on. At the end of the day, and this is me, who has an option to go through a hub to a city or to drive, my time to drive to New Orleans, to park, to find it, to get to the plane, to go through security, blah, 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 blah. My time's worth too much. And I don't find that the BTR is, the rates are that much higher. The number of flights out and the connected is what is different than what New Orleans is. But I'm a fan of BTR. It's our airport, and we all should support it. We all should, just like we should support everything in this city. And for too long, you know, when I first came here you'd walk into a downtown restaurant and somebody said, what is there to do? Well, you can go to New Orleans. Well, you know what? No. There's enough to do here. There's enough to do here. In fact, sometimes there's so much to do, you can't do it all. And I think this city has come a long, long way. I think the citizens here have to be proud of this city. You know how New Orleans loves itself? We got to love ourselves. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
How are we doing with the cruise boats?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Man, thank you so much. I love the cruise boats. That's one of our departments of destination sales and destination experience. Our experience department meets every boat. We schedule where they're going to be on the dock. We meet everyone. We give everybody Mardi Gras beads. Hey, thank you for coming, blah, blah, blah. We're the only city that does that because I recognize and our staff recognizes the value of having that demographic in our city, enjoying everything that they're doing, and going back home to Des Moines, Iowa, or Oshkosh, or wherever they're from, and saying wonderful things about Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We probably have over almost several hundred boats now a year. Of course, with COVID, there's some drop in attendance and number of passengers. But I'm all about meeting the boats. I think it's a great idea. We have a little cart called Info, INFEAUX, on the go, GEAUX, and we meet them. And we're the only city that recognizes that value. And in fact, sometimes we have double parking over there at the dock. But thank you for bringing it up. And that's one of my departments is very much involved with that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Risponi.
I got two questions.
Uh-oh.
I don't want man get on me over there, so get to the question quick. This today and yesterday was in the paper as a Baton Rouge business report. McAllister was talking about how important filling your position.
Yes, sir.
in Baton Rouge.
Yes, sir.
He also was singing the praises of Bruce Spears.
Right.
Is there anybody that you know that you would like to see? Somebody young in this business or somebody older that we could steal?
I'm not.
Anybody in this business?
I'm a non-voting member of the committee that was put together by Visit Baton Rouge. That includes my executive chairman, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, and past chair. I'm a non-voting member, and I don't think it'd be appropriate if I mention that. You know, there's an Italian word, omerta. Look it up. O-M-E-R-T-A. Look it up, newspaper. O-M-E-R-T-A. I told you, that'd be more fun than half the guys come up here.
Second question.
Yes, sir.
What is the biggest infrastructure problem? I know you mentioned bridge, but buildings, bridges, highway, what's the biggest thing that's going to hinder the next person takes your place?
Workforce.
Priority fix.
Well, you're talking about infrastructure, and I'm talking about everything. I think workforce is a challenge. Workforce development is a challenge. I think, you know, as we become remote, as we become more personal time and what have you, that's a challenge. The workforce development when it comes to the facilities, the hotels, the restaurants, retail is a challenge. As far as traffic goes, 2025, I think they're going to be redoing the interstate, widening the interstate. We've got to educate not only the locals. There's a little app called Waze, right? Even I know how to use it. It doesn't take a password. So you can see the alternate routes to go, or we need to, as a community, stagger our work schedules, maybe do a certain amount of remote days that people are off the highway, maybe park and ride. I mean, when I lived in D.C., that was a way of life, park and ride. So I think traffic infrastructure, workforce, and every other city, Gary, that's running into litter, crime, and homelessness. And it's, I'm not saying it, I'm not using it as an excuse. It's just every city's popping up with that, everywhere you go. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I can't see that far. Yes, ma'am.
What are the most popular, or the leisure, what are the most popular things they want to do with
You know, we have some great museums, and we've got some very affordable museums. And I particularly like the Capitol Park Museum because it showcases the whole city. I like the old state capitol because I think it is, you know, a beautiful building to go into. The former governor's mansion. The plantation homes are still popular. There is a question whether the sustainability of these attractions will continue, or our museums and our attractions, are they evolving to what the public and the different generations want? What really got me on this survey and how we compare to other cities is the need generationally that there is a demand for outdoor activity. Bikes, which we got bikes. Running trails, which we got. Kayaks, which we have, but we need to do a better job of promoting that, and that certain generation wants that. But as far as attractions, I mean, we have so many, and I'm pretty proud of what we've got. And if I left anybody out, oh God, I'm sorry. Food, affordability, Louisiana experience. You know, Louisiana, I'm about ready to get the ding dong here. Louisiana, when you think about every state and the brand that people have in their mind, Texas, just ask them, Florida, California, Louisiana. And you know, you can go internationally, people know what Louisiana is, and I think we sell ourselves as an authentic Louisiana experience. We're not Lafayette, we're not New Orleans, we're an authentic Louisiana experience. Thank you all so very much. God bless. I'm not getting the hook?
They're getting a notice that we have time for one more question.
Oh, let's make it a good one. Yes, ma'am.
How important the arts are in town, and
Yes.
what Renee Chatelain's doing with the Baton Rouge Arts.
Yes, ma'am. We work very closely with Arts Council, and we're very, very, very proud of what we have. We have a certain unique culture, art culture here. And when you look at arts, you're talking performing arts, visual arts, and along those lines. I think every city has a certain amount of art. I think we have a unique Louisiana experience here. It's important. You might remember several years ago we hosted Art South, which was pretty big. We hosted a regional ballet conference here, and people come here and have a great time. I just don't know whether we need to do a better job of promoting ourselves. As we have to get beyond the food and into the other assets that we have. But yes, ma'am, we love the Arts Council. Anything else? Thank you very much. Thank you all.